Losers can't celebrate because what is there to celebrate? But winners celebrate.
Be prepared to face failure, because without failure you can't succeed.
This is Dr. Triple O. Today's topic is pathways to success, navigating the journey. Now, given those qualities you guys, those personality traits that you guys shared, can you summarize 5 factors other than the traits that you think people should think about having, or things to think about in terms of the journey to being successful?
I'll let you go first, Ricky. Please do.
Well, thank you, my fellow Leo. So you heard me speak earlier to dreaming big. You have to have a big dream. You have to have a vision of where you want to be, because you can't go into something blindfolded. You can't. And so I've always said, if you can see it, if you can feel it, and I like to think 1 year down the road, I like to think 3 years, and I like to think 10 years down the road. As I get older, that long-term view gets a little bit shortened. So dream big. The second thing is work hard, but work smart. Okay, because if you don't work smart, you're going to be doing the same thing over and over again, trying to get a result that you're not getting. So you got to work smart, but you got to be committed and work hard towards it. You got to learn. Every day I get up, I say, I'm going to learn something new today that I did not know yesterday. Because if I learn more and I'm more knowledgeable, it's going to enable me to do much more. It's going to make me be more efficient. This one I really love is a 4th one. Have fun. You got to have fun. Celebrate. If you're going to put a lot of time into something and you're going to work at it, reward yourself. Celebrate your successes. Let people around you see that you're celebrating. Let everybody know around you that you're a winner. Because only winners can celebrate. You know, I hate to use the word losers, just like I don't like failure, but losers can't celebrate. Because what is there to celebrate? But winners celebrate. And last but not least, I think you got to be true to yourself. You can't be anybody else. Ricky can only be Ricky. Lisa will be Lisa. Dr. Triple O. I've never heard of another Dr. Triple O. And Wayne, the same thing. But I think that you have to be true to yourself, you have to be humble, you have to be genuine. You know, you just don't overcomplicate the beautiful word called life. So if you take those 5 principles, dream big, work hard, work smart, learn every day, enjoy, have fun, and last but not least, be true to yourself, your chances of being successful is right in front of you. It's at reach. So go after it.
Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna, Ricky did a very good job of
Thank you.
summarizing. I'm gonna try to touch on some other ones. A plan. I think that you kind of touched on that with respect to dreaming big. But I think a lot of times people dream big, but then they get overwhelmed because they don't have a plan, right?
That's true.
And so it feels like a lot for you to accomplish this because it just, you haven't written it down. So when you write it down, it feels more controllable. You can track to see how you're doing. So having a plan, I think, is, the first thing I would say. We touched on some of these concepts before, but, just being perseverant. I remember when I first moved to Florida, I wanted to go to law school, was kind of off of the application cycle. And, I was persistent about a local law school that had rolling admissions and was able to get in, So I think that if you want something, to Ricky's point and to everybody's point, is you really just have to be persistent about trying to get it, because your first time, your second time, your third time, you may not achieve it, but you really have to keep pushing forward. I think another key point is building the right relationships. Speaking about African parables, there's the African parable of, if you want to go quick, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together. So it's like, if you want to go far in life, you really have to work on building relationships, building out your team of people that are smarter than you, that have more wisdom than you, that can help you along the way to get you to the point where you need to be. And along that line, I think mentorship is also key. If Yemi was kind enough, for example, my daughter wants to go to medical school, and he and Miriam offered her an opportunity to do an internship here so that she could do research around some of the infectious disease things that she's learning. And until today, she still is in contact with him about medical school, and he's advising her on things to do and what not to do. So, you really need to surround yourself with the right mentors. What else is on my list? We've talked about this before too. Not viewing anything as a mistake. You really have to be prepared to face failure, because without failure you can't succeed. So I think some of those concepts are the things that you really need in order to be successful.
I kind of feel that life is an opportunity to always learn. There's just so much to see, so much to know, and going into the success part of it, immerse yourself. If you have a desire to go into the medical field, learn about what it's like to be in the medical field. Do some volunteer work. Mentorship is very big. I've done a lot of mentorships. Most recently, I completed one with a student coming out of high school who wanted to go into medicine. And the scholarship program that person was in, it was a 4-year volunteership. Okay, I'll tell you a little story about that for a moment. I get a call from Ricky Wade one day at work. Wayne, I need a really big favor. I said, okay, Ricky, what's going on? I need you to be a mentor to a student. These were kids who are scholastically doing very well, but financially challenged, and I want you to mentor someone. He's a friend. I trust him. I said, sure. Well, I had to write a bio about my background. I had to be fingerprinted. They did a whole big background check on me. And when I went to the first meeting, I found out it was for 4 years, which was good. That was fine. What they have found is that if a person has a mentor to help guide them, to speak to them, someone they can talk to, that there was an 80% success rate of them finishing up college than if they did not have someone to help mentor them and guide them. And I knew that because in New York there were other programs I was in where I've taken students, because I was advancing my career pretty quickly, and I also was an adjunct professor at Hofstra University for a while. I took my students out of the classroom. Because of organizations I belonged to, I assigned those students to follow someone in the hospital, so they got to see what it was like to work in that environment. So by mentoring, or if you have a child that is going to go into a particular field, it's a very good idea for them to have someone to follow. When I said immerse with yourself, is you want to find someone who has similar ideas that you have, similar goals that you have, that can help take you in that direction, or who've already been there. To not be afraid to introduce yourself. One of the things I've learned from another friend of mine, it's not in the old saying. It used to be people you know. We want to get to know people. But in other words, what you want is that it's not who knows you. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. Let me expand upon that because I know where it came from. So it's not who you know, because you can know a lot of people that can't do a darn thing for you. If anything, they'll copy what you have and take that away from you. But if they know you, you can actually pick up the phone and make a call, and that person will do something for you. So it's important that people you know you, and you stay interactive with them. I spoke about relationships. I want to talk about immersing yourself. And as we talked about planning, because we talked a lot about planning, have an idea of where you want to go and what it's going to take to get there.
I just want to say something. So I'm happy you brought up mentorship and relationships, and I'm happy you spoke to what you just spoke to, Wayne. But I will tell you, going back to that whole piece is not what you know, who you know, it's who knows you. People have to realize the importance of networking.
Oh, yeah.
And
Big time.
because networking does so much for all of us, okay? And you can't do anything alone, as you just spoke to, that piece. If you want to go far, you got to go together. And togetherness sometimes is a beautiful thing. And, the more I think of this whole mentorship piece, a lot of kids that are at home, that are smart, that dream about being successful, want to be successful, the household stifles that vision. And these mentors, whether you're a mentor or you're a mentee, that relationship there and that bond can change somebody's life, changes your life as a mentor, but you also change the mentee's life for the better. When does that internship for your daughter, that what you're doing, what we are doing here, that you initiated, Dr. Triplo, these things to me have so much influence, not only on the audience, but society. And if we're going to be successful, if we're not carrying somebody else with us and helping somebody else find their success, we're not truly successful. We're self-serving.
Right.
Okay, and so I think all of these pieces that we've been speaking to speaks volumes, and we got to remember we have to do all these things together.
Well said. Thank
I
you.
agree with that.
Thank you. Speaking of which, cheerleader, we kind of touch upon this, over and over again. And who will you describe as your best cheerleader, Lisa?
I'm gonna let the guys go first. I gotta think about that one a little bit. But I have so many
man.
cheerleaders.
I mean, Wayne, we have not made you go first, so I'm going to yield to you now, my friend.
Wow, I would say that there's not one cheerleader, because cheerleaders, I'll use the plural term, not just a singular term. And I think as we get older or grow through life, there are different cheerleaders for us. The reason I say that, my mother was my biggest cheerleader. She wanted me to do well. She wanted me to move on. She wanted me to go to college. My father was there, and he worked hard, and that's what I learned about working hard from him and putting in the work that's necessary. But my mom was there. I don't want to get too emotional on that.
It's okay, Wayne. It's okay.
Yeah. Even during her illness, while she was going through her stroke and aneurysm, she took the opportunity during the Christmas time to knit me something that was there, a blanket, so to speak. But she was always there to speak to me. Son, no matter how bad things get, just stay with it. It'll work out. And always encouraged me to do that, to go. So she was, growing up, she would be the first cheerleader. The second cheerleader would come from people in school, in college, relationships. We had the same goals in mind. And we would get together, and this is what we had to do to study. This is the exam that we had to prepare for. And there were friends that I met in the fraternity that I'd even joined. As I got older in life, then you become married. Your spouse becomes your biggest cheerleader because it's the success of both of you. And during the course of your marriage, you're going to go through a lot of challenges together, financial, children, where you're going to live, and along those lines. And then during the course of your career, I've had cheerleaders that I've worked with, bosses, CEOs, as I was growing fast, who recognized the talent and made sure that I was put into the right program, at the right place, so that I could advance myself. At one point, I had a CEO who nominated me to be a future CEO in New York City, and that was the first internship that I went through that put me through a one-year training program to be a future CEO who recognized that. And then as I moved on, Like I said, the friends that I've met, they become my cheerleader. Ricky's my cheerleader, right? And I cheer him on too. But I know that, and Lisa, I'm sorry, I don't want to ignore that. When I went, and the reason I say that is because these are people who will support you. Those people that support you are your cheerleaders. People that you can rely on, that you can pick up a phone, that you have confidence in, that will give you good advice through their own experiences and look out for you. They become your cheerleaders. So I can't say there's a singular cheerleader in my life. I can say that different levels of my life, there've always been someone there that I could rely on and help me move on.
Thank you.
So I like a lot of things that you said, Wayne, because my first cheerleader was my mom.
Right.
She always referred to me as her firstborn. She always told me that, Ricky, the sky's the limit for you. There's nothing you can't do if you want to get it done.
Right.
And she was always there as a support base and inspiring me. And then it got shifted. I got married, and I had children, and my family became a different version of my cheerleader, in the sense that I have a purpose. I am a provider. I am a guidance. I have a legacy to leave. I have, it's almost a footprint that's already there for me. And so when you think of that cheerleader piece, you heard me speaking about having fun earlier when I spoke to it. I am my number one cheerleader. I get up every single day, and when I look at myself in the mirror when I'm shaving, I remind myself of what my purpose is. And I joke with this all the time. My wife gets upset. I say that, I hope you guys don't screw up my eulogy, because I already wrote it. Okay? And I use that term because your behaviors represent who you are. If you come in contact with someone, the first 3 to 5 minutes, they should know who you are and what some of your core values are. So that's why I say I'm my cheerleader, but when I bundle it holistically in a universal set, my mom's in there, my family's in there, my aspirations are in there,
100%.
and then Ricky is right there. Okay, because those are the legs of that bench that says, you have to get up and you have to produce. You have to get up and you have to make change. You have to get up and you have to influence.
I don't know how I top that. No, I agree with everything that you guys both said. My parents, they had such a strong belief in me. I mean, both of my parents were willing to sacrifice anything to see me succeed. My dad used to say I would sell the last shirt on my back, just to make sure that you're provided for. So my parents always wanted to see me succeed, and that was like wind behind my back. That just always gave me the motivation to keep pushing forward. But, I agree that as I got older, I feel like I am the central piece to your point, Ricky, in that I now appreciate all the things I need to do for myself in terms of my health, the mental piece, that no matter how many people are cheering you on, if you don't believe it, if you can't see it, if you can't dream it, if you can't think it, then it's never going to happen. So it's, you have to have that confidence in yourself. You have to be your biggest cheerleader in order to accomplish anything. And then beyond that, I think I have different cheerleaders for different things, depending on what I need. If I need advice with kids, I may be talking to some of my girlfriends. If I need professional advice, I have, a mentor that lives on my street, for example, who's always guiding me whenever I need. I have older mentors. I have younger mentors, professional women, girlfriends. So I've tried to surround myself, which is the point, of different people, to your point, Wayne, who you can trust to guide you on various things, and people who want to see you win, people who want to see you succeed. And so, I've that's just the way that I've lived my life, and I treat people also the way that I want to be treated, and I do the same thing for my kids. Like, before they can leave the house every morning, my kids have to say a chant to me, which is, I'm unique. I never have to be like anyone else. Every day I work to be the best version of myself. I can do everything through Christ who comforts me. I'm a champion. And then I say to them, go have a Champions Day.
Good.
So
Very nice.
I want them to believe in themselves and to know that they have cheerleaders.
Dato, can I just say something here? Because I'm here sitting in your wellness center. And, in order for us to be successful in life, in order for us to be cheerleaders, in order for us to be a role model, we got to be healthy. Okay, and we were talking earlier before we even started this podcast, and there are certain things that we have to do because this journey is not a short-term journey. It's not a sprint. We're in this success path. It's a marathon. In order for this marathon to work, if I'm going to really run a marathon, I got to be fit. I have to eat healthy. I have to be healthy. And then obviously, I have to perform.
Yeah.
And I have to be my own cheerleader to perform. And so, I think it's so fitting as I see where we're at today in your wellness center. And I want to compliment you too.
Thank you.
Because to look at a physician that's an entrepreneur, that's successful, that has a podcast, you're educated. These things don't happen overnight. These things happen because whether you want to believe it or not, you're our cheerleader today.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely.
So I think I should share that with you.
Thank you.
And
you,
so
Ricky.
keep being my cheerleader, Dr. Triplo.
You're also my cheerleader, Ricky. Now, you guys have been great. I'd like to thank you again for a great discussion. I mean, all the points that you guys share with the audience, I think is beautiful. I mean, I was moved. And I'm sure they were all moved. In closing, though, I'd like to share a few remarks with the audience. The top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. Now, success won't happen overnight, as you all said. If you quit, it won't happen at all. Consistency does not guarantee success. But not being consistent guarantees you won't be successful.
Right.
You cannot win a race unless you compete. Don't let fear of failure paralyze you. You've heard that over and over again today. And lastly, never wait for a perfect moment. Just take a moment and make it perfect. It has been an interesting conversation. Until next time, goodbye.